So there's a massive, massive problem in the car market right now, and it's a problem that not a lot of people talk about, I feel like, enough. Honda just had a 750,000 vehicle recall, and we have to spend lots and lots of money doing this. And what is that problem? It's the quality of cars that are being produced today and the quality of cars that are available on the used car market right now. They're absolutely junk. Toyota has a 50,000 vehicle recall. Keeps Alex in a job because we're having to fix so many more of these cars. We got all the sensors. I hate sensors. So here's the pain that is in my rear for the last few years. So because new car prices have gone up so high in the last few years, it has pushed a lot of people out of the market to upgrade. And what typically happens in the car market is that people will keep their cars anywhere from 3 to 7 years, and then they'll trade them in for a brand new one at new car lots. But because the price of cars have gone so high, because interest rates have gone high, because monthly payments are at record highs right now, people are opting to not buy these new cars and trade in their old cars. What they're doing is they're choosing to fix their cars longer, and if they have a good used car, they're just not trading in at all. They're keeping it. And why would they? Why would you want to trade in this paid off, perfectly good car and get one of those brand new flashy $800, $900 car payments? Well, people aren't doing it. So what that means is these cars that they would traditionally trade in would come to me, a used car dealer. They would go trade them in at their local new car dealership, buy a new car, and then that new car dealership doesn't want those older cars sitting on their lot, so they send them to auction, and that's where I buy them. But because people are only sending the cars that they have to get rid of, so they got problems, those are the ones that are trading in, and those are the ones that are filtering to the auction where I can buy. And because of that, we're getting cars that we have to work on more, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger headache for us because the quality of the used cars coming through the system, as new car prices go up, the quality of used cars that are coming through the system is going down. And because quality is getting so bad at these auctions, what we're having to do is, it keeps Alex in a job because we're having to fix so many more of these cars that are coming through the system. A few years ago, we could buy a lot of cars that were just ready to put out on the lot, but no. Now Alex has to deconstruct and reconstruct cars on a regular basis. Just like this Grand Marquis right here. Grand Marquis? Grand Marquis?
Grand Marquis.
Grand Marquis.
Grand Marquis.
Marquis. I don't think any of those are right. So here at my car lot, we only have professional equipment. This right here is a broken broom handle, I believe. But this is what we use when the shocks on the hood, they won't stay open all the way. So professional equipment here. All right, so here is an average day for Alex right here. So we're going through these cars and we're finding out what's wrong with them. We got an Expedition, the cam sensor. We've got shifter sensor. We've got a Nissan Pathfinder that's got an air fuel sensor. We've got an Impreza with a radiator. We've got more crankshaft sensors. We got fuel level sensors. We got map sensors. We got all the sensors. I hate sensors. We got all the sensors. We have to fix them all. And Alex is over here with his junky toolkit over here fixing more sensors. Sensors. You have to go through and we have to fix all these little stupid sensors that are in every one of these little cars. And we have to spend lots and lots of money doing this. And we have to factor that in to the price that we're paying for these cars. And on the wholesale side for used cars, we know that used car values are way up. So on top of having to pay more for these cars that aren't as good, so our prices have to go up. We're making the same amount of money per car as we were back 4 years ago, but we're selling that same kind of car that's, in my opinion, the quality is not as great as it was 4 years ago, but we're having to sell it for a higher price. And it's just a setup for big-time problems in the car market, especially on the used side, and especially for small used car dealers like myself. All right, so check this out right here. This is really bad paint on a Toyota Camry. Typically, what we would do over the last 3-4 years or so before we got into this crazy time is we would be able to buy cars like this that had bad paint. I would still buy them as long as they're in good running condition. I actually love buying stuff like this because we sell to a lot of consumers in our price range that are $5,000 and under. They don't care what the car looks like. They care that it's a good car, it's safe to drive, and this is a Toyota Camry, so it's a good car. But what we would typically do is we would be able to get cars like this with this bad paint for a huge discount at these auctions. because the quality, bad quality, is just the standard now at these auctions. This car right here goes for the same price that a car with just about perfect paint would go. And I know that seems ridiculous, but it's absolutely true. Dealers will pay up for a good car because they just aren't out there. And this is a good car, it just looks ugly. So it's crazy to think about, but even a car cosmetically that doesn't look very good but is a sound car is still bringing premium money, because the quality of vehicles that are out there, the amount of work that dealers have to deal with on a regular basis from these auctions, is making cars like this, ugly cars, but good cars, still bring a premium price.
All right, so when you think of quality issues, when you think of recalls, who do you think about? It's Ford, right? Because Ford has the most recalled vehicles, but right now we have some issues coming out of the most reliable brand that you can probably think of in your brain, and that's Toyota. So Toyota has a 50,000 vehicle recall right now, and it's affecting the 2003 to 2004 Corollas, 2003 to 2004 Matrix, and the 2004-2005 RAV4s, concerning some of the airbags that they have in them. We're dealing with quality issues across the market, and there's no brand that can escape this. We have dealt with quality concerns now for decades, and Toyota is one of the brands that you would think of being the most reliable, but they're going to have quality concerns too, and we're going to see a lot more of this going forward because we had a lot of vehicles that were put together very quickly over the last 3 years, and this is a concern I have for the next 10 to 15 years from these vehicles. Is we're going to have quality concerns, and that's because these manufacturers, they rushed out these vehicles. It's Toyota, it's Ford, it's GM, it's Stellantis, it's all of these brands. Every brand across the market is going to have to deal with a lot of these quality concerns. Some brands more than others. I've talked forever about the quality concerns from Ford. They are the worst. They're still the worst, but no matter what brand you go to, with the vehicles that are being made now, you're still going to have quality issues that pop up just because of the elements that we've had to deal with over the last few years.
And here's the problem that new car dealers have to deal with. So when you see tons and tons of recalls from, let's say, Ford, the most recalled manufacturer out there, what it ends up doing is it gives a negative taste in the mouth for the consumer. And when that happens, it hurts Ford dealerships across the country, because then it's going to take consumers that would want to buy Fords, when they start doing their research and see all these recalls, all these quality issues, well, they might no longer want to be a Ford customer, and then they start looking up reliability and things like that, say, oh, you know what, well, Toyota seems a little bit better than Ford does. So then Ford is actually going to lose that consumer. Not only does Ford, the manufacturer, lose that consumer, but it hits those Ford franchise dealers too. There's been a big problem with Ford franchise dealers and Ford not really being on the same team here lately. One big thing is price, because the Ford dealers, they're screaming to Ford, the manufacturer, that they need cheaper vehicles. And on top of that, if Ford's not able to get these dealers the vehicles that their consumers can actually afford, on top of that, if they have quality issues, they're even further going to push consumers away from these dealers, and that's going to hit dealers in their pocketbooks, in their wallets. There's been many headlines out there right now showing how the relationship between Ford franchise dealers and Ford, the company, has soured greatly over the last couple years, and these quality issues are only going to make things worse.
And even another reliable brand like Honda. Honda just had a 750,000 vehicle recall in the U.S. for a sensor that can cause an airbag to unintentionally deploy during an accident. And GM, another U.S. brand, it's about commonplace for us to have recalls across these American brands. But General Motors is recalling 323,000 vehicles, trucks, to address an issue with the tailgate that may open while driving. So you can just go down the road in some of these GM trucks and your tailgate is just going to open. It's very dangerous, maybe not when you don't have anything in the back of the bed, but if you've got about 50 2x4s in the back, you've got cement blocks in the back of there while you're going down the interstate, that can cause a serious problem. Maybe not for you, but definitely for the dude that's behind you.
All right, so me personally, I used to be a Ford guy, but because lately I've dealt with some quality issues myself pertaining to Ford, I have kind of changed my tune. And now when I'm going to buy a vehicle for myself in the near future, it's probably not going to be a Ford. So listen to this. All right, story time. So I want to tell you that even though I'm a used car dealer and I can buy stuff very cheaply at used car dealer auctions, we can still get burned, and we can get burned pretty significantly. So I bought a 2017 F-150 for me to drive quite a while back. If you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you've seen this truck. And I decided I want to get rid of it because I wanted something to carry all my YouTube crap, all this gear that I carry around all the time, and I needed an SUV. So I put my truck out for sale. I paid $15,000 for this truck. It had 80,000 miles. Got a great deal at the time. But it turns out that it needed some motor work. So we ended up going through it and doing just about everything. And it cost me like $4,300, $4,600 to basically rebuild the motor on this truck. And so I did this and then drove for a little bit longer. Something else went wrong with it. We had to fix another cam sensor, something like that. Anyway, put it out for sale, tried to get rid of it around for what I had in it. At the time, I had about $22,000 for it, so I put it out for sale for $22,000. Still thought it was a deal at $22,000 because I estimated the truck's probably worth about 25 grand. But we have a difficulty here at our lot. We sell cars that are $5,000 and under, and we don't finance. So because we're not at a place where we finance, we're not hooked up with any banks, I don't want to put my customers in a position to have debt, so we sell everything pretty much cash. So because of this, it really hurts us when we want to sell something that's more expensive, like a $22,000 truck. So we post it and we get some calls on it, but because we don't finance, nobody can buy it. Even with outside lending and stuff like that, it's a more of a hassle for a lot of customers to go get that. So a barrier to entry is going to mean that it's less likely that we're going to sell this truck on our lot. So we kept lower the price, whatever. I don't want to have something that expensive on my lot anyway. There's liability associated with that. I don't want to send it out on a lot of test drives. Just about every week we lower the price, and we finally lowered it down to $18,000, and we started to get blown up on it. So we get a lot of these calls. We know we found the right price, but still it sat for a little bit because consumers want to finance through us. We don't finance. That's a big problem when we're trying to sell something like that. So today we finally had somebody walk in and offer us $17,000 for it, and we took it. So I sold it. It's gone, but I had about 22 grand in this truck and sold it for 17. So I lost $5,000. Now I got to drive it for a while, so you give whatever value on that for me driving this truck, but we still lost the $5,000. So that's just to say that even though I can buy something for a good deal at these auctions like this truck, it doesn't always mean that I'm going to make money. And sometimes, especially if I don't check it out well enough, or if I buy something that needs a whole lot of work, even if I'm buying at wholesale level or under and getting a great deal, I can still lose my butt on it. And on that truck, we lost our butt on it. All right, so check this out. Truck. And when we're talking about repairing the cars like this, we wouldn't even have to really no. Let's go back. To buy stuff like this, I'm not the shot. There you go. Because no. I don't think this angle doesn't work.